City of Brandon at Hyde Park. Take advantage of builder incentives, including seller pay closing costs or rate buydowns that help you lower your payment by hundreds. Prices start at $299,000 at Hyde Park. These beautiful homes offer LVP flooring, gas fireplace, and 2-car garages, all backed by a wonderful builder's warranty. Hey, I'm Brad Burleson with UList Realty, and I'd love to show you around Hyde Park anytime. Give us a look at our website, ulistms.com, or simply Google Hyde Park Brandon.
Pops Auto Sales on Highway 49 in Florence is where you come to buy quality cars, trucks, and SUVs. Priced to fit your budget. At Pops Auto, we specialize in trucks. From four-wheel drives to diesels, our satisfied repeat buyers know Pops has one of the largest truck inventories for any independent dealer, period. Browse Pops inventory at popsautosales.llc.com and get pre-approved for a zero down payment with approved credit, with warranties and service contracts available. Pops Auto Sales, your home for trucks. Highway 49 South in Florence.
Come together right now over me.
We are back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. We do have Representative Jansen Owen with us. Thanks for being here, Jansen.
Thank you for the invite. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I know you had a long drive to get here, so we really appreciate it. But I think a lot of people in this area really need to hear what school choice is. There's so many misconceptions. There's so much misinformation out there. And so tell us, to you, what is school choice and why is it something that is so important to you, something that you've kind of taken up as what you really want to get done?
Well, to me, school
choice. Pull that mic just a little closer.
There you go. To me, school choice is freedom. That's pretty much what I sum it up to be: the freedom of a parent to make a decision about something so important to their children, their education, which is that determines their future. And putting those decisions to the hands of parents, to me, falls always onto freedom. Now, there are, like you said, a lot of misconceptions. So I'm going to break it down into like the different types of choice. So you have what I know here in Madison, Rankin County, has been extremely controversial, the public to public choice option. Mm-hmm. So that means if you want to move your child to another public school, you are more free to do that. But part of the misconception that I'm hearing from my colleagues here in Rankin and Madison or the greater Jackson area is that we're forcing schools to accept students, which is not really what the legislation would do. It's not what House Bill 1435, which we passed out of the House last year, did. So the public option under current law, if Jansen decides that, my child would be better educated in a neighboring school district for whatever reason, and I'm accepted by that district, the home district is allowed to veto my decision to transfer to that district. So they're allowed to say, no, Jansen, we know better than you. Your kid's going to stay here. And why do they veto it? Because they lose the money.
They get the money per head.
Right, exactly. So the House Bill 1435 and the public to public option simply would just say, no, that sending district is no longer allowed to veto that parent's decision if they're accepted by another district. There was a ton of available options for those receiving districts to deny transfers. We're not forcing kids into their districts. The receiving district has all the authority, all the discretion to, of course, they can't discriminate based off of, sex, race, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But they have all the discretion to accept children. If they don't have enough room, they don't have to take them. That is,
and they write their own policy.
They write their own policy. They have to publish that policy. Currently we have kids being accepted into districts right now. Our current policy allows transfers as long as both districts agree to it. And that is happening now. But the difference is they're not publishing policy. They're not publishing reports as to who's accepting who. So the only requirement on the receiving district is that they have to adopt policies. They have to be transparent about that policy, and they have to publish who they're accepting. To me, that should not be that controversial. No. But you're hearing from these anti-freedom people that we're forcing districts to take students.
We're talking about you.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about her. So I think that is just, they use that to scare people into thinking we're going to be forcing a bunch of kids into these districts because they can't win on the argument, oh no, we do think the sending district should be able to veto a parent because we want that money to stay there. That's not a winning argument. No. So what do? They resort to untruthful misconceptions and outright lies in some instances to try and defeat that win. And then there's the ESA part, which is the private option, which is where if you're a parent and you believe that your child would be better educated in a private atmosphere or homeschooling, the money that the state has set aside for your child's education would follow you to that school. And that is,
Which
that's
seems
the
like common
ESA part.
sense. It seems like common sense to me that we would want the money that's designated per child to be able to actually educate that child.
Right. Well, we have got two different. We've got a side here that wants to focus on the child and the parent and the family, and then we have a side here that is so focused on preserving a system
Right.
of government. And that's what it is. We forget sometimes that the public school system is still government. That is a government run. Those are government run schools, and oftentimes, more times than not, actually, a public school is giving a child the education that they deserve, and a parent is perfectly happy. But sometimes that's not the case because children are they're very unique between
Mhm.
one another. And sometimes the public school setting is just not providing the educational opportunity that children deserve, and parents should have the freedom to make a determination as to where their child should go to school, how they should be educated, whether it be because of their particular individual disabilities or their values or whatnot.
Mhm.
That should fall to the parent, and that's what conservatives have long believed. This is not a new theory. This is not a new thing. Ronald Reagan has supported this. Republicans for decades have supported this. It's been on our platform
Mhm.
since I believe either the 70s or 80s. This is a conservative issue because we believe that parents know better than the government.
Right.
And so,
I mean, that's one of our catchphrases at Moms for Liberty is we do not co-parent with the government. We are, it is up to us. It is our fundamental right to direct the upbringing of our children as we see fit. And, it's not just kids in failing school districts either. I was
no.
saying in the first segment, there are some bullying is a big deal and a reason why a kid would need to move to a different district or to a different school. Not offering the classes that your child is interested in or that your child wants to have the opportunity to take. Those are other reasons. It's not always just a failing school district, but we do have kids who are in a school district that's not failing, but they're in a failing school
Right.
and they're trapped there.
Right.
They don't have any options.
I mean, we have districts now that are A-rated districts, but C or D-rated schools within those districts. And
Right.
we forget about that. And even within those districts, the ability to transfer from one school to another school within a district is still impossible. So yeah, I agree with you. It's not just about whether or not a school has this government defined A to F rating. Parents is way more detailed than that. Like, yes, I may have an A-rated school in Poplarville, and I do. We have a great public school system, but I have family. I have a niece right now, and sometimes, things in the public school setting, even in an A-rated district, because of her particular needs, they can't be met there.
Mhm.
Even in an A-rated district. And it's not always about A to F. We think that parents should only worry about that A to F rating when there are so many different considerations that parents take into account when determining what is the best path for their children. But again, that A to F rating is a government assigned rating, and the people opposed to this policy think that the parents should only take into account the A to F system and not into any other considerations as far as their children are concerned. And interestingly enough, I was reading, you brought up Miss Loom earlier.
Yeah.
She spoke at some Kiwanis or something somewhere, and I was reading the article, and she said in there that the proponents of school choice talk about how parents, the whole onus behind us wanting parents to have choice is because parents know better than for their children and know which school is serving their needs. And she attacked that position by saying, but private schools don't have to report any of these. I guess they don't have to report that A to F rating system like we do in the public school sector. Okay. Well, she, I guess, assumes that parents need the government to tell
Yeah.
them tell them how well their children are educated, because we're not at the kitchen counter with them every night doing homework. So we can't assess whether or not our children are being adequately educated unless the government is telling us so, which is, to me, kind of interesting.
That
that's
makes
the
no
argument.
sense. But and she's made some other points too, that this will just be the collapse of the public school system. There will be a mass exodus, and we have not seen that happen
No, we haven't.
in other states. In fact, it's working really well.
Yeah. If there's a mass exodus from public schools because of this, the problem is not school choice. The problem is
The schools.
the schools. I don't see that happening. There may be a mass exodus in certain parts of the state where there are schools that have perpetually been failing, that are not providing the education that children deserve. And you know what? If there's a mass exodus from those schools, then they deserve it.
I agree.
I hate to say it, but if they are failing students, if they are perpetually failing, if they're failing generations worth of students, okay, some of our districts that are failing on this A to F scale have been failing for a decade. That's a whole generation of students that are failing, and we just want to bring an option to these parents, something else other than them sitting around waiting for systemic changes that
may never come,
or their children will get out of school before they come.
Exactly.
We're getting a lot of, we've been very successful with, I know, the NAEP scores, and they're calling it the Mississippi Miracle. But you got to think, some of those reforms happened in 2013. Those reforms happened in 2013. It's 2025. That's 12 years it's taken for us to see the results of those systemic changes. 12 years. That's a whole kindergarten through 12th grade. That's a whole generation of students that took. Exactly. And our idea is we're going to empower the parents to make quicker changes, and control their education without having to wait for government to fix it in the long run.
Now, here in this area, there seems to be a lot of people who oppose school choice. But overall, across the state, what we've seen is that like around 70% are in favor of more choice options when it comes to how their kids attend school and where they go.
Right. Very few parents, when you ask them, do you support this, are going to say no, because parents, in their heart of hearts, they know they should be able to dictate and control how their children are educated. I think a lot of the opposition in this area is, again, rooted in the misconceptions that the other side has been putting out, as far as this idea that we're going to force children into these districts and take away their autonomy to dictate who's coming in. I do believe that if you throw it all out onto a table, you've got your private school option, your public to public option. You're going to want that public to public option if you have a private option, because at some point schools are going to want to recruit students to come into their district. If they're losing kids to the private school, they have the ability to bring them from other public schools. It's opening a market of competition, where schools are having to actually be accountable to parents, have to earn their trust, have to earn their money that they're getting for these students,
and their jobs, to keep their jobs. That was one point that was brought up in the last meeting that Speaker Jason White has put together this committee. And the last meeting, Erica Donalds made the point, but why is it the child's job to ensure that these teachers have jobs?
Exactly. That is the other way around.
Right.
It should be. But one interesting fact that I was reading some studies the other day, and right now the district, 77% of our funding comes from the state. The rest is capped off. 73%. The rest is capped off by the locals. Okay. But interestingly enough, our teacher salaries, the state funds like 95 to 99% of that. You have a $50,000 teacher salary. Our local supplements vary anywhere from $500 to $5,000 depending on the district you're in. So I was reading a study that said, or a report or an article that said that in these districts where you've had the competition of school choice, districts have been more incentivized to keep their good people there in order to keep their students there. So you've actually seen an increase in these local supplements. These superintendents, instead of spending money on crazy stuff and more administrative staff, they're putting money into the classroom and focusing their spending in the classroom, in teacher salaries, to ensure that their students are staying there, that parents are confident in their ability to provide an adequate education. So I think in the long run, if you open up this competitive market that you'll see with choice, you're going to see these administration officials redirecting funding not into more assistant superintendents, 15 assistant superintendents, but into their teachers, into the people who
Where
are
it should be.
with the children in the classroom, which I think is an interesting, I guess, byproduct of more competition
And to
in
already see it
education.
happening just because the thought of this could be coming is, I mean, we can already see it paying off,
Oh,
even if it's not here
absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely. I mean, even the past 10 years, look, I mean, the Mississippi Miracle, of course, is awesome. And there were a lot of reforms, but you have to remember 10 or 12 years ago, not only did we pass the third grade reading gate, but we passed our first ESA program. We passed our first charter school program. So the idea of competition in the education has been around, and I believe has actually contributed to those successes because districts know. And of course, Nancy Loon's been running around screaming about it for the last 12 years to keep herself relevant.
Mhm.
So yeah, I believe
She
there's
needs a new hairstyle. She wants to keep herself relevant. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about a lady's hair, but yeah.
It's okay. I said it for you.
Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, I think the idea of competition, just the idea of it has already, you're already seeing results of that competition. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to pay off in a lot of respects.
Well, we've seen Governor Reeves and Speaker White say this is their top priority. I've also heard some rumblings that we could possibly see a special session pop up sometime this month, maybe focusing on this issue. Is there any insight
Well, I
on
hope
that? Or
so. I would love there to be a special
I'm
session.
sure you can't tell us, even
Yeah,
if you did know, but I would love that.
I
I would
would
love to see it dealt with outside of
exactly.
regular
I would
session.
encourage a special session. And here's why: because one, it's such an important issue. I believe we need to focus on that singular issue, have a debate on the issue, work out a good bill, and focus on that. If you throw it into a regular session, you get into the politics of a regular session, other bills and other legislation, and
You pass this on this side, so I'll pass this on this side. If you don't do this on the House side, I'm not doing this. Yeah.
and we're all very sensitive legislators. Our feelings get hurt easily, of course. So I think if we had a special session, we could focus on this issue. We would not only have our own legislators being able to focus on it, but also we could get input from outside of the state. I know President Trump is extremely very, very, very for
Let's
this.
call it the civil rights issue of our time.
Exactly. I mean, there was actually a special election in Tennessee yesterday, and the top two, it was an 11 candidate race, and President Trump came out this week and endorsed the dude who was for school choice. He was running against another gentleman who was against school choice.
That was probably the determining factor.
And well, he won in an 11 candidate primary. The Trump endorsed school choice dude got 51% of the vote. The next guy was like 24%.
Oh, wow.
In a primary. And he's going into the general election. And in Trump's endorsement of this gentleman, he said he would be a champion for school choice. So that's how important this issue is for the president and his administration. And I think Mississippi, as conservative and as Republican as we are, we should be at the forefront of this, and we should not be waiting for everybody to pass us by like we traditionally do.
I completely agree. We're going to take a commercial break, but I got some questions from my Facebook post yesterday that I was going to ask you. There was a lot of comments, some pro, some not so pro school choice, but we're going to break down those questions and get your response to some of the misinformation that was being thrown out yesterday. Y'all stay with us. We will be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Family and a hot Johnny's Pizza House pizza on the table. Now that's our kind of hustle. Make it a sweep the kitchen and bring everyone together. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice. Here in the South, we keep our football loud and our pizza loaded. Grab a Johnny's Pizza House, sweep the kitchen, and cheer on your hometown team. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Pure Air Consultants has always been your go-to for reliable and affordable heating and cooling systems, and now we are offering day and night brand to avoid the 25 to 30% increases that everyone is talking about. With day and night, Pure Air Consultants professionals can install a reliable system with a 10-year system warranty, and right now receive $20 off on service diagnostic fees. Call us today, 601-939-7420, mypureairconsultants.com.
CBS News special report. Los Angeles authorities have charged a 29-year-old man with starting a fire on January 1st that later destroyed the Pacific Palisades neighborhood.
The complaint unsealed today charges the defendant with destruction of property by means of fire, a felony that carries a mandatory minimum 5-year federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison.
Jonathan Rendernecht allegedly lit the fire on New Year's Day, but it continued to smolder underground before reigniting during high winds. Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley.
The defendant was arrested yesterday on a federal criminal complaint near his Florida residence, and he's expected to make his initial appearance today in the federal court in Orlando.
The fire killed 12 people and destroyed more than 6,000 homes and buildings. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
Craving something extraordinary in Jackson? Manship Restaurant is where your taste buds hit the jackpot. Join us for happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. where your wallet will thank you and your stomach will sing. Indulge in half-price wood-fired pizzas because why pay full price for half the fun? And for just $5, dive into our private barrel bourbon picks. That's right, luxury on a budget. Plus, beat the heat with our frozen drink specials, a tropical escape without the travel expenses. Make your way to the Manship where happy hour isn't just a time, it's an experience.
I am Wayne Lloyd, Delta Farm Services, LLC. We do all types of dirt work, excavation, dozer work, land leveling. We do building pads, commercial ponds and lakes, residential ponds and lakes, anything with dirt work. Delta Farm Services, LLC.
Google Delta Farm Services, LLC, or find them on Facebook. Delta Farm Services, LLC.
Pickup truck, sports car, motorcycle, minivan, townhouse, two-story, farmhouse, fixer-upper. What you drive and where you live is different for everyone, so it's important to have insurance that fits your needs and is just right for you. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that, which is why our agents help you design a comprehensive auto, home, and life insurance plan. Insurance that fits just right.
Proudly serving southeastern United States. Come see me, Jamie Creel, Ridgeland and Flora, Shelter Insurance.
I'm speaking with Lee Bounds of Rapid Rate Mortgage. How does real estate agent Rita Jensen succeed when time is of the essence?
In today's market, it is so important to communicate and close on time. Typically have 30 days to close, get a home inspection, appraisal, title work, that kind of thing is a mortgage process. And a realtor relationship is so important. With a realtor like Rita Jensen with Remax Connection, she helps us to close on time.
RitaJensen.net.
If you want the best health care, where do you go? The Mayo Clinic. If you want the best care for your vehicle, where do you go? Mayo Auto Clinic in Raymond. Mayo Auto Clinic does foreign and domestic vehicles and diesel repair. Mayo Auto Clinic has ASE certified techs with over 25 years of experience. You can extend the life of your car or truck when you take it to Mayo Auto Clinic. For cost-effective repairs and maintenance, go to the best, Mayo Auto Clinic. Open weekdays at 7 a.m. Highway 18 in Raymond.
Come together right now over me.
We are back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show with Representative Jansen Owen, where we are discussing school choice. Now, people keep talking about there's no bill yet, and there's not. That's but right. We are not in legislative session yet. But confident there will be a bill. If you have anything to say about that, Jansen.
Yeah, there will be a bill. We're having meetings. We're getting input from everyone, and we're working on a bill. We're writing it. There's not a bill yet, of course. We're not in session, but we are actively working on drafting a good piece of policy around this issue.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited about it. So I wanted to get to some of these comments that I got on Facebook yesterday, kind of promoting that you were coming on the show. And this is one that I've been hearing a lot recently. How would school choice, the way it's been put forth so far, not just create more learning deserts in Mississippi and increase the divide between have and have nots? It's almost like people are thinking this is going to segregate students again.
Well, so increase the learning, increase the gap between the have and have nots. Okay, so that's interesting because right now the haves get to have choice.
Right.
It's the have nots who don't. So I think it would actually have the opposite effect because you're going to give those choice options to these have nots who have never had that choice because they are, of course, in a position where they financially, the government right now makes you send your children to school. And unless you are financially well off to send them to a private school or homeschool them, you're forced to send them to a designated school based off of where you reside. And even parents who have not are entitled to the choice and the freedom of determining how to educate their children. So I think in real life, it would actually have the opposite effect. It brings that freedom to those people who traditionally have been unable to afford it or been able to do it. So
I agree. And, you know, it's crazy to me that that's the way people are looking at it. So we got another comment that said, if you give a $10,000 voucher, and I hate the word voucher because it just puts this negative connotation on it.
That's a parent's campaign.
It is. That's the word she uses every time she speaks about it.
Demonizing it, but yeah.
So a lot of people are saying that if you give a $10,000 voucher per student, private schools will just raise the tuition by $10,000. And so therefore it's not going to change anything when it comes to the private schools.
Okay, then we don't need. Then there should be no problem. Pass the bill if that's
Exactly,
real.
yeah.
if that's what's going to happen, then we can pass it, and there'll be no problem. You shouldn't even complain about it. But what you see in real life is some private schools may raise tuition, but you also see an influx of new investment in private educational options. People who are coming in to take advantage of a market, different learning options, different schools. So some private schools may raise their tuition and maybe above that voucher amount, but I'll tell you what, our state allotted amount is $6,800. That's $6,800 closer to a parent being able to get tuition than they were the day before. So
right. So maybe they could afford $2,000, but not
the full thing.
Exactly. This is going to help them get there.
That's again another attempt to attack the policy with something that really doesn't make sense when you start to think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's another point that I keep hearing is that we already have choice. You can live wherever you want to live, and you can sacrifice and put your kids in private school if you want to. So we have choice. We don't need this.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, here's the thing. If we decide that the local governments can fund education by themselves without any help from the state, then sure, you can put up those walls just like Trump's border wall and keep all them babies in your assigned district all day long. But the state funds 73% minimum of our funding. So for education, those are state tax dollars. Everybody's contributing to everybody's education, and I believe that parents should be able to choose where they send their children to school easier than they do now.
Yeah. Speaking of the border wall, I saw a superintendent. I think it was Pearl. And I think this was a post I shared of his, but he used that analogy.
He said that, borders and walls matter about everything until it comes to education. Well, interestingly enough, I saw that as well. And you know what? Yes.
That was disgusting.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Poplarville, I'll give an example. Poplarville does not have a Walmart. There are some things that I cannot get in Poplarville. I have to go out of town. The market requires me to go somewhere else to get something if it's not offered where I am. And if a school within a certain border is not offering an education that I believe my children deserve, I am more than free, or should be, to take my children somewhere else, and with it, the money that follows them.
I agree. And I made this point to someone in the comments yesterday. It's like, we can choose which public library we go to. Now that's funded with tax dollars.
Right.
We can choose which public park we go to, which is funded with tax
Mhm.
dollars. So why is education the only thing that's different here?
Exactly. Because it's a system that it's a system.
It is a system.
It's a system that is ingrained in people's minds to think that they should have no competition. And unfortunately, for some of these people, I disagree with that strongly. I think competition has never hurt anybody. And if parents are empowered to take their children somewhere else, if a school's failing them, then
And the school needs to look at themselves and say,
Exactly.
why are we failing these students? Especially with as much administration as we do have
Right.
across the state. Where do you stand, Jansen, on consolidating some of these school districts and superintendents?
I think we probably do. Actually, I know we have too many school districts. I mean, we have some school districts that have less than 1,000 kids, and we're spending tons of administrative cost. In the last hearing, we talked about how there's actually a failing district that is spending almost $25,000 per pupil and still continuing to fail. So
It's got to be the administration at that point.
Yes, I do support looking at taking a hard look at school consolidation. But if you remember the testimony from Erica Donalds, she talked about how a natural result of these types of programs are consolidation. So schools, if they are failing, like that particular school district that's spending $25,000 per pupil. Now, granted, your viewers need to know, or your listeners need to know, the average per pupil expenditure in Mississippi is like $11,000. So that's $25,000 this failing district is spending per student.
Much more than the average.
Way more, double or more than the average. So that district will start losing students likely. And that already small district that should probably not be a district will ultimately be forced to make a really hard decision. And as a result of market forces, likely either have to change their game and get those kids to stay and improve, or close or combine with somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever bad when we have more competition in a free market. I
No.
think that benefits everyone here.
It benefits the consumer.
Exactly. And that's Erica Donald spoke about that too, monopoly and consumers, and really giving the consumer the product that makes them want to come to
Exactly.
this particular school. She also talked about how, we do have this, what they're calling the Mississippi Miracle, but these new schools, like these new AI technology schools, they look at a state like Mississippi and they don't want to come here because we have so many failing schools that aren't doing well.
And our laws are so restrictive. We don't welcome investment in educational options here.
No, in order to start a charter school, you have to be in a F or D district.
F or D district.
And again, there's schools inside some districts that may be A, B, or C, but the school inside that district is failing.
And even a C district is considered successful. And I was raised to believe that C's may get degrees, but they ain't getting the $100 bill at report card day. So.
No, no. I used to cry when I would make a C. My oldest daughter is that way, and the one that's 2 years younger than her is completely opposite. She doesn't care. It doesn't bother her. But that just goes to show how different
they are.
Exactly. And the ways that they learn and how you can hook them, it's in a different way.
Right. I think in my opinion, the C district, it may be successful, but it ain't successful for me. And we need to strive for perfection, and parents should be able to choose that if they so choose.
So I also have been asked about, I thought we had a Mississippi Miracle in public schools. That's all Tate talks about. So it sounds like public schools across the state are doing amazing. It's crazy to talk both sides out of one's mouth.
No, that's not talking both sides. Let's talk about that Mississippi Miracle. In 2013, we passed the charter school bill. That's choice. We passed the ESA for special needs. That's choice.
And then last session, we funded the wait list.
We funded the wait list already. So even as part of that Mississippi Miracle, it has gradually been as a result of either competition or the idea that competition is coming to Mississippi.
The new funding formula as well.
The new funding formula. So these are changes that have happened in the Mississippi Miracle. These are changes that have happened as a result of empowering parents with more options. We've also passed the third grade reading gate, which all of these naysayers were against that too, because we would be controlling what's going on in the
Who
classroom.
now want to take credit for it.
Yeah, so 12 years, that's 12 years since we passed those reforms, and we're just now seeing these results. I don't think children have time to wait that long overall, and I don't think it's time to stop. And also keep in mind that even with our NAEP scores putting us at the top, we still have almost 50% of our fourth graders are still not proficient in reading.
Isn't that
We're just
crazy?
low overall as a nation. We're low on our reading and math scores. So just because our miracle may bring us from 50 to 6, even at 6, our kids are still not proficient in reading and math like they should be.
Right.
So it's not time to stop, in my opinion. You can talk about a miracle all day long if you want to. Yes, it is a miracle. We've gotten from 50 to 6, but the work is still there to be done. And I don't think it's time to stop.
Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, so many of these measures that have gone into this miracle are kind of built around choice, more options, more choice.
Mhm.
And what a great thing that we were able to start that process 12 years ago, because we saw what happened during COVID.
Right.
And while all these other states were plummeting, we were rising.
Right.
But it's because of those decisions and those things that we put into place
Right.
to create this Mississippi miracle that, oddly enough, all seem to deal with choice.
It all falls back to choice and the idea of competition in the education marketplace. And the idea, we did put money into reading coaches and the third grade reading gate, the charter school bill, the ESA special needs program. There were a lot of reforms that happened. I don't know if you can point to one singular reform as much as you could probably do the third grade reading gate, but all of those reforms were controversial reforms that was opposed by the education establishment that had to be done in order for us to move where we moved to. And it's not time to stop.
I agree. I completely agree with you. There's some talk at the meeting was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about economic growth even, and how we are seeing in other places that school choice has poured into that as well. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I believe someone, can't remember who, the superintendent that spoke at the meeting mentioned another superintendent from Florida who said he went, after they adopted their big choice program, he went from having 11 private schools in his county or his school district to 21. So that's an increase of 100% of private investment coming into his community to invest in educating children in unique and different ways, offering services to parents, being accountable to those parents, trying to attract those parents to come there and say, hey, I'm offering this service to educate your child this way. That in and of itself is an economic investment. And then looking at, some of these, you call them education deserts, where people are not in schools that are extremely successful, and we're having a hard time attracting industry to those areas. If you provide more options to parents and more educational alternatives in these areas, some of these areas that may have poor public schools, one, the schools hopefully will improve because of those competition and market forces, but two, it's not going to be as big of a consideration for these companies that are looking to invest in these areas and being turned off by the fact that their public school system is failing if there are alternative options. So
Yeah, it sounds like it's just win, win, win all the way around. We got to take our last commercial break, but y'all stay with us and we will be right back here. We've got Representative Jansen Owen talking all things school choice. We'll be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. Things school choice. We'll be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show.
.1039 WYAB.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex, located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex, known as Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex, where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
It's time to fall into savings at Mazda of Jackson. With ball games, road trips, and all the busyness, don't miss a thing. With 2.9% financing for 36 months on a new 2025 Mazda CX-5. Or get 2.9% financing for 63 months on the 2025 CX-90. 1 year maintenance is included on your new vehicle purchase. And take advantage of the pre-tariff inventory that's almost gone. Shop online at MazdaofJackson.com or visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road in Jackson.
Men, if you answer yes to any of these questions, you could be suffering from low testosterone. Do you have low sex drive? ED, always tired, depressed, loss of muscle mass, obese, loss of focus and drive? You, my friends, need to get your numbers checked. Check out Men's Health of Mississippi, located in Madison, Mississippi, and online at menshealthms.com. Guys, get your numbers checked today. Trust me, she'll thank you for it. I promise. menshealthms.com. Men's Health of Mississippi.
Y'all come see us at Flora Animal Hospital, your trusted hometown vet. We offer a wide variety of veterinary services, including boarding. Dr. Kaylee McCary is a Madison County native who has been serving the Flora community and surrounding areas since 2013. She leads our team of highly trained and compassionate women. We are located at 740 Highway 49 in the Cotton Exchange Plaza. Call us today at 601-879-3222. At Flora Animal Hospital, we treat your pets like our own.
This is Jack Hoffman. For nearly 31 years, Tico's Steakhouse has been a staple of fine dining in Jackson, Mississippi. Dad has long since desired for me to come work alongside him. And now that I'm here, I would like to invite you to come experience our family tradition of our hospitality, sizzling steaks, and healthy poured beverages. Our dining rooms are open and we are taking reservations. Our private rooms are also available along with takeout. Call today or stop in and experience Tico's in the second generation.
Tico's Steakhouse, East County Lime Road in Ridgeland, 601-956-1030.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Antique Mall of the South has 14,000 square feet of pristine, clean floor space. Home to beautiful, timeless antique treasures. Antique Mall of the South is open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. Check them out online at antiquemallofthesouth.com or go to the Antique Mall of the South Facebook page. You can also read the dozens of 5-star reviews online. Come see for yourself at Antique Mall of the South in Ridgeland. Now open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. That's Antique Mall of the South, Highway 51 in Ridgeland.
Come together.
We are back here. We have just a couple minutes left today, and just so thankful, Representative Jansen Owen, for you being here. We talked earlier about the Parents Campaign, which is the most anti-parent organization there is, led by Nancy Loom. And I put out a press release from Moms for Liberty yesterday talking about her ties to the Southern Poverty Law Center. If anybody knows the Southern Poverty Law Center, you know that they are not a good organization.
They're
be tied in with.
a radical left-wing organization. They put Charlie Kirk on their hate list. I mean, this is a group that targets conservatives and puts them right next to the KKK on their little list.
But this is one thing I have on Clay Edwards, is because he said it's his mission to be on the hate map, and I was like, I got it done before you did.
But they are actively funding the Parents Campaign's assault on bringing freedom to Mississippi's parents. So when people bring up, I love it whenever somebody will send me a copy and paste email from Nancy Loom's little call for action stuff.
Mhm.
And I just simply respond, if you copy and pasted this from Nancy Loom, you've lost
missed
me.
the mark.
Yeah, you've missed the mark. She does not represent the values of the state or the values of our parents. And she's actively or that group is actively pursuing a campaign to fight parental freedom.
That's right. I
which-
was just telling you in the break she's the whole reason why the Parental Bill of Rights that I have worked on in past years has not been able to make it out of a committee or to the floor.
right. I mean, she's fought everything that I can think of. I mean, she did put out I know you may have read my op-ed that talked about some of the opposition she's been just since, when I came to Jackson in 2020. I actually had a lot of respect for Nancy and tried to work with her on a lot of things. But then, the first, when Philip Gunn was speaker, Representative McCarty and I worked really hard on this huge teacher pay raise. And we had to fight her on that because it wasn't exactly what she wanted. So instead of coming to the table and kind of trying to give us some alternatives, she attacked us and attacked the House. And she had this really big thing about Philip Gunn. I don't know why she was obsessed with him, but she was obsessed with Philip Gunn, hated him. And then when we did our funding formula,
because he put his name on the Parental Bill of Rights that year.
He did
last year.
I remember that. And then the funding formula we passed 2 years or last year, or year before last, same thing. She had all these ideas, but only attacked us. Never tried to work. We even told her in January of last year she wanted a formula to get to the base student cost. So we said, "Hey, bring us one. Give us an idea." Instead, she never brought any solutions to the table. She was all problems, no solutions, and fought like heck. And that is the largest investment in public education that we've ever seen in Mississippi. But it wasn't her way, and she needs to stay relevant, so she's got to oppose something.
Hashtag let me check with Nancy.
Exactly.
Was that you that did that, or was that the speaker?
I think it was Jason. It was the speaker. Yeah.
Look, I about fell out of my chair when I read that. That was brilliant.
Sometimes Jason White can be some type of petty. Sometimes
he gets I like it.
When he
I
gets
like
on
it.
Twitter.
If that's who he's being petty with, I like it. I'm trying to get him over here. I know his schedule is super busy, but I feel like this area, the central Mississippi area, are who really needs to hear the facts and not the disinformation that's coming from Nancy Loom and her mouthpieces.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all about educating the public and letting people know what's coming. I think it will be easier when we have a bill and we have a proposal for people to actually put their eyes on, because right now she's able to define what it is without even seeing anything.
Right.
I mean, they were running with, it's going to be Arizona. Well, I had to put that out at the last meeting. We're not doing what Arizona did. Arizona passed a bill with no caps on it, and they predicted it would cost $175 million. Well, guess what? It was so dang popular.
Because the people wanted it.
Ran to it. It increased their cost by a lot. So many parents are taking advantage of it because they believed the school options they had were not available to them like they should be. So the problem with Arizona is
and this was the first state too. So we've all learned a lot
exactly
since then.
So the problem with Arizona, if you want to call it a problem, is that it was popular with parents. I mean,
which it doesn't really sound like a problem to me.
No,
They may have wished they had like eased into it a little more.
Absolutely. I'm sure their budget analysts are stressing right now, but they figured it out. They elected a Democratic governor, and guess what? It's so popular she can't even repeal it. I mean,
I love it.
There you go.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really feel like the listeners of this station needed to hear some actual facts and not just what the rumor mill is spreading and how there's going to be, this is just going to be, the world is falling. It's the end of the world if we do this. I think it's going to be a great thing for the state of Mississippi and for the children.
Right.
And that's what I liked. And I know you say this too. What's best for these children? And that was one of the questions that Representative Celeste Hurst had for one of these speakers at the last select committee meeting. I don't care about the other stuff. Like, why can't we talk about what's best for the kids?
Well, we had one speaker last week or the week before last, and I intently listened. They didn't say children or kid one time during their speech. So
that tells you.
System.
Yep, that's what it tells you. They're worried about money and the systems.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, tell your buddy Clay that I'm going to come on and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to get him on board. Okay.
Look, if you can get him on board, you're doing something right, because we have fought and fought and fought. We just have decided we can't discuss it. The two of us.
Look, I've been there before, but trust me.
Thank you so much, Jansen. We appreciate you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.